Buccaneers, the team that drafted him into the NFL. It was appearing to be a cost-cutting move by the Bucs. McCoy visited with the Browns and the Ravens before visiting Carolina on Friday and then deciding on the Panthers today. Let's turn to NFL media insider Ian Rappaport right now. Ian, what are the details on the deal and why Carolina?
Well, first of all, it is a one-year deal worth $8 million at its base, $4 million to sign for Gerald McCoy. And that is all of the guaranteed money that he is getting, which is interesting because from what I understand, at least one other team offered him about twice that in fully guaranteed money. That team believed to be the Baltimore Ravens. The Browns also offered him a very, very strong deal. But instead, McCoy ends up getting just a base of $8 million, obviously far less than he was due to make, less than Ndamukong Suh was making in his old spot in Tampa. Suh, by the way, wearing his old number, which you know is something that McCoy does not like. Now, this deal can be worth, at its maximum, $10.25 million based on incentives, but that is not why he signed in Carolina. First of all, from what I'm told, he wanted to stay in the South with a place that was familiar, like the Ravens, like the Browns. Wasn't so sure about both of those cities. And he loved the camaraderie of the Carolina Panthers. His visit was fantastic there. Really loved the vibe of this team. But as you guys mentioned, some of this was about revenge. He gets to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers twice in 2019.
Including Week 2, the first Thursday night football game live here on NFL Network, Bucs at Panthers, featuring Gerald McCoy. Thank you, Ian.
And he makes this announcement, Gerald McCoy does, on the same day that Ndamukong Suh tweets this picture in his New Jersey, which belonged just weeks ago to Mr. McCoy.
Who are you looking at?
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the different guy in the same jersey number.
You think he called him and said, hey, can I rock that number 93?
I don't think that happened under the circumstances. Not so much.
Do people call people anymore?
Text them? Did he text?
Usually they just
DM on social media. Terrell Davis, Sean O'Hara, what do you think of this decision?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. For McCoy, it's really about the fit. And I think when you look at some of these other teams that were bidding for his services, some of them actually run 3-4 schemes. Yeah. So he didn't want to play nose guard. He wanted to play 3 technique. Now, this guy's got some good football left in him. Right? I just turned up a couple of his sacks and some of his hit plays from last year. He had 2 sacks against the Giants. And I tell you what, he could push the pocket. So he's got some football left in him. You pair him next to Kawan Short. With Carolina, that defense is pretty aggressive. They need his help. Obviously, they weren't that great at getting after the quarterback last year. But I actually think McCoy is a much better pass rusher than Ndamukong Suh. I think Ndamukong Suh is better on first and second down.
I agree with it. I mean, he's been watching his team in his own division for a very long time. And Ron Rivera is the most charismatic coach. When you walk into the business in that building, it's hard not to like Ron Rivera. He's a very likable coach, and to want to play for him, you get a chance to play your old team twice a year. So it does make sense. You don't have to move very far. You stay in the South. Again, he's going to be a rotational guy, probably not going to be an every down lineman. He's playing a 4-3 defense. It sounds like they're going to be doing a lot more 3-man front with their defense as well. So those guys could all be in the attack mode. So I like the fit. I love it. I think he's still a good football player with a lot of football left in him.
Sounds like he took a lot less based on what Ian Rappaport just said in order to play for the Panthers as opposed to the other 2 teams. Cleveland and Baltimore were also expected to be pretty good. Do you think that he'll regret that decision?
I don't think he will when they're in the playoffs. And I think he's going to a good team. And I think that's absolutely a factor when you look at his career and where you're at. As you start to play that back 9, you want to make sure that you're chasing that ring, really. Yeah. He was a 3rd overall pick, so money's really not a big issue. But I will say this. The other factor could have been, as you get older, TD, you know this. He's playing on grass.
Oh, yeah.
He's guaranteed 8 games on grass at home in Carolina, plus a couple more within that division against Tampa and some other.
He did say he wanted to go to a contender, but a lot of people seem to think that Cleveland and Baltimore would fall into that category, too.
Yeah, but again, you talk about the Cleveland Browns. Listen, I know they look great on paper. We all said that. But essentially, we haven't seen this team assemble the way they are right now and if they can win games. He's going to a team that he knows. The Panthers aren't far off. They weren't last year. Listen, they lost some close games. You got a quarterback in big old Cam Newton that's going to come back from that shoulder injury. I think he made the right decision. Look back. And Baltimore, we don't know about them either this year. I'm telling you. So I think Carolina's probably more of a contender.
As long as Cam Newton does come back from that shoulder injury and can throw and do all the things that we saw him do before, we have an update on that coming up, and we will see all of them on the field together next Tuesday. Panthers mini camp starts then. Scott?
Speaking of mini camps, we have 9 NFL mini camps kicking off this week, including the New York Football Jets, which means Lev Bell in a Jets uniform for the first time. Looking at a social media post of a photo shoot that Lev took part in today. Tomorrow, it's mandatory minicamp, and Bell, who's been working out away from his Jets teammates, will be in the mix tomorrow.
Uh-oh, y'all. Y'all see it? Yeah. We here, baby. I'm in this green 2-6. We here, and it's official media day, and we having fun.